I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask for the land acknowledgement, and for those who can stand when we get to the national anthem, please stand.
The land upon which we work, live, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Michizagig Anishinaabe, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize the rich pre-contact history and relationships which include the Anishinaabe and the Ongwe Hongwe.
Since European contact, this land continues to be home to Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. As responsible community members, we value the diversity, dignity, and worth of all people.
Colonialism displaced and dispossessed Indigenous peoples of their ancestral land
and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms.
We are committed to learning true history to reconcile, make reparations, and fulfill our treaty obligations to the original peoples and our collective responsibilities to the lands, water, animals, and each other for future generations.
Thank you. Just before I ask for approval of the agenda, just want to remind trustees as we move through tonight's meeting, we are going to do so in a very respectful way. The chair may make ruling from time to time that trustee may not be agree with. So I'm going to ask trustee to exercise your fundamental right to use the point of order to make sure you outline your point of order and reason for the point of order, and then we can follow our bylaw procedures, how we address that. But let us continue to focus on the fact why we're here, which is student success and student achievement, and how we spend our time carrying out board business. So with that said, thank you very much. The agenda is before you. I have no addition to the agenda this afternoon. Trustee B. McDonald, Trustee Stan Cameron is putting it on the floor for me. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And the declaration of conflict of interest. Doesn't see none to my right nor to my left. All right, so we're going to move down to staff recognition, which is 5.1, and I'm going to turn it right over to Vice Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Green, and through you. We are pleased to celebrate and honor our retiring staff members. Each and every month, Peel District School Board recognizes employees who are retiring from service or they have recently retired. Today, we are delighted to acknowledge our 22 outstanding staff members who are concluding their service with the board. Among them, 2 principals, 10 classroom teachers, 3 custodial staff, 4 educational assistants, 1 professional student services personnel, also known as PSSP, 2 administrative support. We extend our heartfelt gratitude for each retiring staff member for their dedication and service to the board, our students, their families, and the communities. It is through the collective efforts and sincere commitment of our staff that we continue to make a positive and lasting difference in the lives of those who we serve. Our staff's dedication to helping students achieve their full potential is deeply, deeply appreciated. We wish you all the very best for a happy retirement. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Jahal. Trustee Promoli, Trustee Bailey, putting it on the floor for me. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Tonight, there's no chair announcements. I have no report from trustee appoint to external organization. I'm going to go down to 8, which is approval of the board previous minutes. And the minutes from our June 18 meeting is here. Trustee K. McDonald, Trustee Leon Cole, is putting on the floor for me. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Right. And we're going to move down to 9, which is the audit committee minutes from June 5th. Trustee Will Davies and Trustee Johal is putting on the floor for me. Question, concern? See none. All those in favor? Carry. Okay. Governance and policy of June the 11th. Trustee B. McDonald and Trustee Will Davies. Question, concern? All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And the special advisory, we don't have any minutes, but we do have a motion tonight. And Trustee Benjamin, I'm going to turn it over to you to read the motion for us. This is a very important motion that this plan able to go up to the ministry. Go ahead, Trustee.
Thank you. And through you, Chair, I will be reading the details of the motion. Arising from a meeting of the Special Education Advisory Committee meeting held on June 17, 2025, the following recommendations are brought for board approval. 1. Special Education Plan Amendment 2025. Motion to approve. Resolved that the report Special Education Plan Amendment 2025 be received, that the Special Education Plan and Amendment be approved. And the rest of the information is provided to all trustees. You can read the details. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Benjamin is putting, and she's also putting that on the floor. Trustee Promoli, second that. Question or concerns? I see none. All those in favor? Plan approved. Okay, thank you to our special ed superintendent. You got the green light. Okay, great. All right, we're going to move down to staff report. We're going to I got one. I only have one. Let me see. Just 1 second. Yeah, partly there's a second motion. Oh, okay. All right. So yes, there's a second portion to this motion. The second portion to the motion from our Special Ed Advisory Council, a feasibility of reserve pathway for student with exceptionality in the Regional Learning Choice Program. Whereas the Peel Learning Choice Program at the Peel District School Board offers specialized academic pathway through application and exam-based process. And whereas the amendment for information indicated approximately 200 students with learning exceptional apply each year with limited data, and how many meet and enter these threshold gain admission. And whereas the board currently reserve a percentage of seats for students who self-identify as Afro-Black, Afro-Caribbean, First Nation, Inuit, and Métis students through a grade entry program. Therefore, be it resolved that staff be directed to prepare a report that include the number of students with identification learning exceptionality who have applied to the RLCP over the past 4 years and gain entry into the program, and that the proportion of these applications will meet the eligibility threshold offer admission, and the analysis for feasibility and potential impact, logistically, legal equitable related of reserving a percentage, a seat for a student with exceptional who meet and admit to these programs, and a comparison of the current admission structure for equitable deserving group who have similar model may be reasonably adapted for a student with exceptionalities. And it recommended a next step to ensure equitable access for student with learning exceptionality to be aligned with the board equity and inclusion goal. So again, Trustee Benjamin is putting on the floor. Trustee Bailey is seconded. Okay, question, concern? Yes.
Yeah, exceptionalities is quite a broad term, and I find that this motion doesn't really help define that. And does this make it too broad for you to do the report? And I guess in the sense, are you going to break the exceptionalities out if that motion goes forward?
Okay, staff.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Thank you for the question, Trustee McDonald. Exceptionalities is very broad. As we know, there are 5 different exceptionalities approved by the board that students could fall within. And I will turn it over to Superintendent Chabarro, who is in charge of regional learning choice programs and does have some data to share around that.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Swicato, and through you, Chair. Yes, we do have data that differentiates between exceptionalities. However, as we all know, the number for students with exceptionalities is so small, we would not be able to disaggregate the data. What we do have is we do know that there are the students who identify as gifted and other identifications, and we are basically reviewing the data accordingly. At this point in time, though, with our preliminary review of all the data, we are not seeing significant or disproportionalities between those who have identifications with IEPs and all the other students that apply and receive spots in an RLCP program.
Okay, so thank you for that question. Sounds like you've done the work already before this motion. Okay, so I'll just carry on and appreciate the feedback. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, any other question? See none. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move right down to 10.1, which is staff report. And I'm going to turn it over to Director. You want to introduce Associate Director Gill?
Sure. Thank you, and through you, Chair, I would now ask Chief Operating Officer and Associate Director Jaspal Gill to present an oral report on the OPSWA membership fees.
Thank you, Director Swoop, and through you, Chair Green. Last week, our board received the invoice from OPSWA for 2025-26 membership fees. The membership fee for 2025-26 year will be $262,067 plus HST. OPSWA currently represents all 31 English public boards, as well as 10 school authorities. So there are financial and other benefits because of the membership. Just as an example, for 2024-25 school year, which is this school year, OPSWA interventions on natural gas rates and electricity rates have saved our board approximately $700,000. In addition, OPSWA interventions on copyright tariffs have also saved up approximately $361,000 for our board. I will now ask Controller Tanya Leticia Charles to go over the membership benefits in a bit more details, and then we will be happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you, AD Gill, and through you, Chair. I will take a couple of minutes to highlight the role and value that OPSWA brings to the sector. As mentioned, OPSWA represent all 31 English public school boards, which is nearly 1.4 million students, and equates to 70% of the K-12 student population. They are the largest stakeholder voice in Ontario public education, which gives more strength when advocating to the provincial government on behalf of the sector. They have 5 major roles: political and legislative advocacy, financial negotiation, collective bargaining, professional development, and inclusion advocacy and support networks. With respect to political and legislative advocacy, OSPA is recognized as a key voice within the education sector and often submits comments to and is asked for consultation by the ministry. In terms of advocacy, highlights for 24-25 include providing feedback on the experienced apprenticeship pathway to the Ministry of Labor, providing input on the new life skills curriculum, responding to the growing success consultation to support effective student evaluation. Additionally, with respect to the core ed funding, OPSPA provided a submission to the ministry for the 25-26 core education funding consultation and a submission to the Ontario Standing Committee on Finance. In June, after the release of the ministry core ed funding, they also published concerns about gaps in per student and special education funding. Most recently, they've released a public statement on new ministry supervision of additional school boards. With respect to the financial benefits, there are two specific areas that OPSPA helps drive savings, as mentioned by AD Gill. OPSPA negotiates bulk copyright tariff agreements on behalf of all member boards, allowing them to pay significantly less than they would individually. These savings occur because OPSPA collaborates with partners like OESC to intervene collectively during tariff hearings and negotiate reduced rates. This centralized effort lowers per board cost. As mentioned, for 24-25, the savings in copyright fees is estimated at $361,000. OPSA also plays a central role in the School Energy Coalition, a provincially coordinated advocacy group that represents all Ontario public school boards for energy regulators. In this area, OPSPA coordinates and represents all 72 district school boards through the Ontario Education Services Corporation when dealing with energy rates applications by Enbridge, Hydro One, Toronto Hydro, and other utilities. As mentioned by AD Gill, for 2024, this is estimated that the energy savings through SEC has helped us save $702,000. In terms of labor and collective bargaining support, as indicated in the School Board Collective Bargaining Act, which was passed in 2014, OPSPA has the role of the employer, bargaining for the English language public district school boards at the central bargaining table. OPSPA works closely with senior staff across boards during the collective bargaining process. In terms of professional development for trustees, OPSPA provides free webinars and modules as well as regular in-person events. In terms of communication and public engagement, there are monthly calls with board comm staff, daily media scans, and weekly provincial updates for trustees. Last but not least, OPSA has strong focus on inclusion advocacy and support networks through Indigenous Trustee Council, Black Trustee Caucus, as well as supporting policy and program workshop, which helped shape legislation and education policy. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, Trustee Promoli and Trustee Bailey's putting that on the floor for me. Any question or concerns? Trustee B. McDonald.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to add to the list that was there of the benefits of OPSPA. When I was chair 5 years ago, I attended my first FES. I think if any trustee hasn't attended that, I think it's a great process. But I was chair. Obviously, the educational aspect of the event was very good, but for me, it was all the networking that happened. So at the time, I became friends with the Toronto chair, the York chair, which we became very simpatico because we were both chemical engineers, the Halton chair and the Hamilton chair. And we became this kind of group of chairs that were very supportive of each other and really helped me in that role in dealing with very challenging things that if you take all your modules, there's a lot of rules, not just running a board meeting, which is challenging enough as a chair, but all the other intricacies of the education role that we play as a chair in driving achievement, student achievement. So it's a non-tangible kind of reward that really pays off. It paid off for my year as chair, and I just cannot value enough that what OPSA did to support me in that role through that process. Thank you.
Any other comments? Trustee Bailey.
Through you, Chair. I'd like to add on to what Trustee McDonald said. As a new trustee, going to OPSPA, it really helped me to learn and understand my role as a trustee. It is through OPSPA and their professional learnings and development that I really got to understand the importance of what we're doing here, get to understand the different committees. I sit on OPSPA's policy committee, and to see the work that they do for the students of Ontario. So it's not really just about Peel, it's all of Ontario. So I'm really proud to say that we are, as a board, a part of OPSPA, and I'm glad that we are a part of it. We're something bigger than just ourselves.
All right. And I see no other comments. Okay. All those in favor of this motion? Okay. Is that a comment? Are you supporting? Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Approve. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay. All right. So again, we're moving down to the reason why we're here this evening. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Director Saru to walk us through, to introduce us to Associate Director Gill.
And thank you, Chair Green, and through you, I'm going to ask our Chief Operating Officer and Associate Director Jaspal Gill to present the Peel District School Board budget for 2025-2026.
So thank you, Director Spruce, and through you, Chair Green. Let's leave it at the first slide. Yeah, wonderful, thank you. Before I start with my presentation, I want to acknowledge the commitment and leadership of the senior team to develop this proposed budget. I would also like to thank Controller Letitia Charles and our finance staff for their outstanding work over the last few months in the development of this budget. Next slide, please. Our budget development process was led by the board's Budget Development Committee and was thorough and inclusive. We worked closely with trustees, senior leadership team, and employee group leaders to gather their input and to ensure strategic alignment. We also invited input from staff, students, parents, guardians, school council members, and community stakeholders through an online survey. There were also opportunities for delegation through the Budget Development Committee and physical planning, finance, and meetings. These contributions were vital in shaping a budget that reflects the diverse voices of our community. Next slide, please. Each year, normally in the spring, the Ministry of Education announces the funding for the following school year. Most of the ministry funding comes to school boards through the Core Education Funding Grant. For the 2025-26 school year, provincially, the core education funding is projected to be $30.3 billion, an increase of $953.5 million, or 3.3% compared to 2024-25. As part of the announcement, Ministry introduces changes to the funding it provides to school boards. Some of the specific changes being implemented for 2025-26 include salary benchmarks and other funding elements will be updated to reflect the final year of the 2022-26 collective agreements and the third year of the 2023-27 principal and vice principal terms and conditions of employment. In 2024-25, the ministry began a 5-year phase-in for 2021 Statistics Canada census update. Ministry will continue with the phase-in of the 2021 census data next year. Student transportation funding will be updated based on results of recent routing simulations, including changes to the number of routes, daily distance, and time traveled, as well as update to funding benchmarks to support the increasing cost of transportation subsidy. Based on this update, our board will receive an additional $4.2 million in 2025-26 compared to this school year. Ministry will continue to provide Sports for Student funds for additional staffing to support the local learning needs of students. All funds to be used consistent with the collective agreement obligations. To keep up with the cost, there will be a 2% cost update to assist school boards in managing the increase in commodity prices such as hydro, natural gas, insurance, and other costs. There will be a limit on school board administration expenses along with the implementation of accountability and compliance measures. Next slide, please. For school boards, enrollment is a key driver for staffing, determining accommodation needs, and most of the ministry funding is based on enrollment, normally referred to as average daily enrollment or ADE. The graph shows the enrollment trend over the last 10 years. Our board has experienced enrollment growth until the year 2019-20. For 2025-26 school year, enrollment projections indicate that the elementary panel will see a decline of 1,384 students, and the secondary panel will see a growth of 427 students. Overall, our system will see a decline of 957 students compared to last year's estimates, which represent a 0.65% decline. Since 2019-20 school year, the board's overall enrollment has declined by 10,730 students, representing an overall 6.86% decline. Next slide, please. This year's budget process was particularly challenging. Board continued to experience declining enrollment alongside increasing support needs of our marginalized and vulnerable students. At the same time, ministry funding formulas have not kept pace with the rising costs associated with special education, statutory benefits, sector-wide absenteeism, and the inflationary costs impacting non-salary expenditures. Next slide, please. However, based on consultation with trustees, senior administration, and the input received from various associations, unions, federations, school councils, and the public, staff has developed a proposed balanced budget aligned with the board's multi-year strategic plan. Given funding constraints, majority of the budget focused on classroom and learning resource supports and on priority areas such as special education, indigenous education, and student safety and well-being. Next three slides highlight some of the enhancements included in the proposed budget. 100 educational assistants to support students with special needs to provide the necessary support to ensure student safety, enhance individualized care, and promote an inclusive learning environment for all students. 13 child and youth care practitioners to provide support for students requiring urgent social emotional support and to manage critical situations in a safe and timely manner. 4 educational assistants to provide targeted support to First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students who require safety and well-being assistance and other supports. 3 resource teachers, 1 dedicated for pathways, transitions, and dual credit programs to ensure that Indigenous students receive the support they need to navigate through challenges and access opportunities for our education. 1 resource teacher to support the integration of Indigenous knowledges into literacy, language, and English programs, and a 3rd position to continue the successful Indigenous knowledges in mathematics program. Proposed budget also includes 2 instructional coaches to support with the implementation and monitoring of the board's obligations to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to action and upholding the rights of Indigenous people. 2 impact coaches, 1 to support the growth of Counting on You program and the other to support the Specialist High School's major program. Additional funding for travel assistance required to assist special needs students on the bus to and from school. Additional funding for recruitment to increase the size of our casual pools of educational assistants, occasional teachers, and other casual groups, ensuring that these pools remain large to fill vacancies more efficiently and minimize disruptions at school. Next slide, please. Proposed budget also includes $400,000 for leading education innovation, we normally call LEAP projects in schools. $50,000 set aside to support both the elementary and secondary skills competitions. Funds will help sustain and enhance these annual competitions, covering venue costs, equipment and material, as well as student and school support for participation. Budget also includes funds for Ontario e-learning consortium membership to continue to provide access to learning through the consortium for students who are unable to receive it through in-person instruction. Proposed budget includes $80,000 to continue to build and secure strong external partnerships with post-secondary institutions, businesses, and industry partners. These partnerships will continue to focus on student achievement and success. Proposed budget also includes $228,000 funding to support the Eco Schools program across the board and for the implementation of Climate Action Plan as part of board's commitment and efforts on environmental stewardship as outlined in the multi-year strategic plan. Next slide, please. Proposed budget also includes $50,000 for a digital wellness software platform to support staff wellness, well-being, $50,000 to manage the increase in volume of medical notes, an additional $50,000 to provide personal protective equipment to protect staff from injuries related to workplace violence. Budget also includes $63,000 for the peer support program to offer newly appointed and acting principals with an on-site guidance and mentorship centered around addressing operational and procedural aspects inherent to effective school management. An additional $75,000 for the implementation of an adjudication process for the use of short-term disability benefits for principals and vice principals. For facilities area, additional $268,000 to cover the price escalation for supplies and for the supply of gasoline to schools for grounds equipment. For technology, additional funding of $700,000 for the upgrade of the human resources information system, increasing cloud services, and to expand the IT ticketing solution license agreement. Additional funding of $1,163,000 to cover student transportation cost increases due to contract rate increases, summer school, and other programs. Next slide, please. To look into the funding shortfall in special education, this slide shows the funding gap for the last 5 years. In 2025-26, the funding gap is projected to increase to approximately $46.4 million as the need for special education students continue to grow. Over the last 5 years, the funding has increased by 11.3%, and at the same time, the expenditure have increased by 19.1%, resulting in a projected gap of approximately $46.4 million for the 2025-26 school year. Next slide, please. If we look at our operating expenditures by area, approximately 80% are directly related to school expenditures. 4.5% are related to central sports for schools, 7.9% related to facilities, 3.5% related to student transportation, and 3.9% related to administration. Next slide, please. Now, if we look at operating expenditure by the type of expenditure, 83.6% of the expenditures are related to staff salaries and benefit cost. 10.3% are related to non-staffing cost, 0.9% related to interest charges on the long-term capital debt, and 5% related to amortization of our capital assets. Next slide, please. Looking further into staffing cost, approximately 55.7% are related to teachers, 9.8% to educational assistants and early childhood educators, 3.9% to principals and vice principals, 2.1% related to school office support staff, 2.7% to PSSP staff, 4.9% related to custodial and maintenance trade staff, 0.8% to continuing education staff, and 3.9% related to trustees, board administration, director, superintendent, and other operational staff. Next slide, please. Looking further into non-staffing cost, 3.1% of the costs are related to student transportation, 1.4% to facilities maintenance, another 1% related to school supplies, 0.4% related to technology, 1.3% to utility cost, 0.5% related to administration, and 1.4% of the costs are related to school generated funds. Next slide, please. Yep. So this slide compares per pupil funding of large urban boards. Our board's per pupil amount for 2025-26 is projected to be $14,071, which is in the middle of per pupil funding of other large urban boards. So thank you, Chair Green. Happy to respond to any questions.
AC none. All right. Okay, all those in favor? Oh, Lucas is in line? Okay. All right, Lucas, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I just wanted to extend my thanks and gratitude to COO Jaspal Gill. I think, especially today when we're hearing the Associate Director COO comment about, having $46 million less to go around and how far we're able to make that stretch specifically when it comes to our support for students with the learning exceptionalities. I just wanted to as this is our last meeting of the year, just really say thank you and express gratitude for all the hard work that I know that him and his wonderful staff put into this budget that I'm quite proud of. Thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you. All right. Everyone that is in favor, proceed. Carries. Thank you. All right. We're moving down. So, introduction to the budget. We had the overview. This time, myself and the director will present before we move into the budget motion. Just wanted to say this is was a little bit challenging right in tonight's speech to present, knowing the many challenges that we face, but I gonna do my best to ensure that and I know we work hard, so to get here, but we couldn't have done that without Associate Director Gill and Controller Tanya Lashish and our staff down in the accounting department. So thank you. So good evening, Director Saru, staff, families, and trustees. It is my honor to present the 2025-26 budget on behalf of the Peel District School Board. The budget that reflects our continuing commitment to equitable student success and a responsible stewardship of public funds. I want to begin by thanking the Ministry of Education for improving the improvement we have seen in funding allocation this year. These steps forward are appreciated and have helped us to address some key priorities. However, there are still significant gaps that we must address, particularly in the areas such as our special ed, where students require timely assessment and individualized support. Qualified French teachers, where there's a shortage that's continue to impact the delivery of programs within our classrooms. We also look at our infrastructure, especially the lack of presently when we look at over the last few weeks, the heat that we have, especially in our elementary school. That is something that it's important that we start to address. The learning environment during warmer weather must be taken into account as we look at infrastructure and the various different improvements that we need to make as a board. Innovation and technology. We need to ensure that we have access to modern tool and digital learning, the environment that students need to strive and to succeed. And we talk about high-skill major, which prepares students for real-world career in sector like healthcare, businesses, and the skilled trade. And we look at the STEM programs that also we need to ensure that students are focused their learning. We as a board, we want to make sure that we are providing students with the tools to equip them for the skill that they need to strive in a rapid changing world. Despite these challenges, it's important to note that today we are prepared to present a balanced budget, a budget that aligns with our multi-year strategic plan, one that reflects both fiscal responsibility and our unwavering focus on student achievement and well-being. This budget also reflects the value of input from the various different federation, partners, community stakeholders, families who have helped us shape our priority to present this budget. A special thank you to the director, associate director, staff, and trustees who have spent countless hours ensuring that we tonight present a balanced budget. To each and every one that worked very hard to share their ideas and input. We would not able to be here without your valued input. Thank you for your dedication, your commitment, and your unwavering support for this board. Together, we remain committed to working collaboratively with our staff, our family, the government, our partners to ensure that students in Peel learn, grow, and succeed in a safe, inclusive, inspiring environment. Thank you to our finance team. Again, all the educators and community members for your continued dedication and support. Together, we will continue to build a stronger and more equitable education for our students here in Peel. Thank you. Director. We'll move both of them together.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Green, and good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to present the Peel District School Board's proposed balanced budget of $2,243,509,594 for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Aligned with the board's multi-year strategic plan, this budget ensures that our financial decisions support long-term goals and strategic priorities. It underscores our unwavering commitment to preparing students for a dynamic future by equipping them with the essential skills and knowledge for their well-being and academic success. As you've heard, this year's budget process was particularly challenging as the board faces its 6th consecutive year of declining enrollment alongside increasing support needs of our marginalized and vulnerable students. At the same time, core education funding formulas have not kept pace with the rising costs associated with special education, statutory benefits, sector-wide absenteeism, and the rising cost of inflation impacting non-salary costs. In areas where there were significant core education funding changes, most are directly linked to staffing obligations related to the collective agreements with little new money for programs and local priorities. Compounding these challenges was the requirement to balance the budget without relying on reserve funds. Despite these financial pressures, our unwavering commitment to equity and inclusion has guided our decisions. Every choice was made with the goal of ensuring our students have access to the support and opportunities they need to thrive. Our budget development process was thorough and inclusive. We worked closely with employee group leaders, trustees, and the senior leadership team to gather key insights and ensure strategic alignment. We also invited input from parents, guardians, students, school council members, and community stakeholders through an online survey, while offering opportunities for public delegations through the budget development and physical planning, finance, and building committees. These contributions were vital in shaping a budget that reflects the diverse voices of our community. Despite financial pressures, our priorities were clear: support our most vulnerable students, advance equity and inclusion, maintain high standards for academic achievement, foster positive and safe learning environments, and address cost pressures driven by inflation. Guided by our consultation process, the 2025-2026 budget includes targeted investments outlined in detail on page 10 of the budget book. This budget reflects our continued focus on fiscal responsibility while maintaining our commitment to student success and classroom excellence. I extend my sincere gratitude to our senior leadership team, trustees, and the finance support services team for their hard work and collaboration in preparing the budget. I also thank the parents, staff, and community members who provided thoughtful feedback during this process. Your voices help ensure that we remain responsive, transparent, and student-focused. Thank you.
I'm going to ask Trustee Cameron and Trustee Johal to put the presentation on the floor for me. Question, concerns? You got a question? Oh. No, they already put it on the floor. Okay, all those in favor? Carries, thank you. All right, Director, Associate Director Gill, you have anything to add before we move to the motion? All right, we have the budget motion on the floor, and our chair for our budget committee will be presenting the motion. This requires a recorded vote, so once the motion is on the floor, and we will have someone seconded that. Once that is seconded, I'm going to ask trustees that are in favor for the motion to stand, those that oppose to remain seated, or those that abstain. And I will call those as we move forward. Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Trustee Hobbs. You have a question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, it would be hard for me to stand virtually, so I'll put my hand up like this.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, yes.
Through you, Chair, I'd like to speak to the motion, please, before we vote.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's fine. The motion, once the motion comes on the floor, I will ask if there's any question, concern, or anything like that. Okay? All right, okay. Trustee B. McDonald.
Thank you, Chair. And before I introduce the motion, I just want to thank my colleagues for putting me in chair of this budget committee. It's a great committee, and I just want to thank the staff. They've done a remarkable job from very quickly turning the numbers into a budget, or getting the numbers from the government, putting a budget. And behind these numbers, there's been a lot of tough choices and sacrifices being made. And I thank them for all the great work. So the proposed budget motion is, be it resolved that the total consolidated operating expense budget for 2025-2026 of $2,243,509,594 be approved, and two, that the total capital budget for 2025-2026 of $9,980,506 be approved.
Okay, who's the vice chair for budget?
Oh, no,
Trustee
96,
Bailey?
right? Yeah. Sorry,
Okay,
96.
Trustee Bailey. Okay, so Trustee B. McDonald is putting that. Trustee Bailey is seconding that. Question, concerns? Go ahead, Trustee K. McDonald.
I'd like to speak to the motion.
Yes.
My duty to be fiscally responsible while focusing on students' achievement and ensuring that all students not merely survive, but that staff and students are provided an environment free of harassment and discrimination and are given the tools they need to excel is paramount. Unfortunately, I cannot support this budget as those basic criteria are not met. Since before the 2024 budget, I've tried to ascertain from staff our cost, our legal fees, and I keep getting stonewalled. Thanks to QP 2544, I found out from a tweet the cost that this board spends on legal fees when dealing with various labor groups come to just under $1.5 million. I have no idea how much we're spending on legal fees for human rights complaints or settlements, as well as the money that is spent on paying staff to sit home while other staff are being paid to do the same job. What is the cost of all of this? I don't know the operation. I don't need to know the operational aspects. I'm just trying to ascertain the bottom line. I cannot support cutting custodial staff whilst there are better ways to find savings. Other students and staff deserve to work in a clean and safe environment. I cannot support cutting the air condition at 6 o'clock in a school as a cost-saving measure, forcing custodial staff to work in inhumane conditions, whilst I believe there are better ways to find savings. I'm concerned about the ballooning CBO staff budget, and an AD retired, although I'm told her job was not filled. I'm understanding filling it was not off the table. In the interim periods, we have created what I refer to as middle management superintendents and other roles. So the net results appears to be actually costing us more. It is my understanding that the middle management superintendents were elevated to these positions with no process. In the 2013 Journey Ahead Action Plan to Equitable Hiring came out after a human rights case against the PDSB regarding nepotism and unfair hiring and promotion processes was successful. We also have many more coordinating principals in the CBO, including a coordinating principal for the director's office. I believe principals belongs in schools, and we have had a school that had 7 principals within 6 months. These conditions happen in the most vulnerable schools where students and staff need and deserve stability. We even have a new coordinating VP role, again, adding to the top heaviness of the CBO, comparing roles in about 2015, where we had about 12 coordinating roles, now we have 18. There are job posted and declining enrollment. There are job posted in the CBO that staff have to compete for on a yearly basis. This, in my opinion, is inefficient use of time, money, and resources. I understand that people get promoted, retire, or move, but we have to be careful if the people we hire stay for at least 3 years. Looking at the number of staff in senior management in 2014, when I first arrived, versus today, I'm truly concerned. I do not believe that our current enrollment numbers and the fiscal environment warrants the size of the senior management team. The solution to the top-heavy CBO and the director's office cannot be only administrative staff. I truly believe we are too top heavy. I'm acutely aware that DEI appears to be out of fashion, but to me, it is the cornerstone of my mode operandi, and this budget does not address, and in some cases neglects, human rights of the people we serve. To date, community members have come forward with concerns regarding 200 packed boxes that are still sitting in the CBO for 2 years yet to be distributed. The shameful failure to expressly recognize the Tamil Genocide Week, a lack of adequate responses to the concerns of a group of Palestinian educators, and the continuing anti-Black racism that too many Black students are facing in this board that goes unresolved.
Trustee
as well as
McDonald,
the fact that Black students are still
Trustee
2
McDonald,
times over
You
suspended.
have 5 minutes. Your 5 minutes is up.
It's not. This time is
your 5 minutes is
3:47.
up.
I started the talk. I'm not sure what clock you're using. I have 3:47 and 74, and I will leave my time.
Okay.
It's recorded. You can go and stop and check it.
Okay. I'm watching the time here.
I press start when I
Okay,
start.
I'm not going to argue with you, Trustee McDonald. Be respectful of the time, please.
Thank you. I will be. I will continue. Let me find out where I am before I start my time again. This budget doesn't address the many inefficiencies, undue and unfair processes and protocols which were inefficient and cost prohibitive. I'm concerned about performance policies and inaccurate feel-good statements that are communicated to the public. Truth matters, facts matters. A simple thing like stating that the first Kabaddi tournament at the PDSD recently occurred when I attended the true first Kabaddi tournament during my first term, which was a brainchild of trustee, now Deputy Mayor Harkirat Singh, and led by then teacher GC. I also have repeatedly asked for regular weekly updates for meetings between the chair and director, all in an effort to see if my concerns are being discussed or raised. I continue to get sporadic updates at best and promise of regular updates. While I understand that these are lean times, the burden of cutback should not be to the most vulnerable in the system. It should be strategic, efficient, and sustainable. I think we leaders should lead from the top and model for the system what we're asking. Thank you. And I actually have 15 seconds left.
I'm not going to argue with her. She's over by 2 minutes. Okay. Anybody else have any comment? Trustee Pramoli.
Thank you, Chair Green. I will be supporting the budget. This was a challenging budget with real funding increases reflected only in increases in compensation agreed to in collective bargaining and a several-year change in transportation services. Our funding otherwise saw decreases rather than increases, with decreasing enrollment but disproportionately high demands on our special education program. Thank you to staff for your attention to student needs and well-being and to our strategic plan in your asks through the 2025-2026 business cases. I'm proud to have worked with our colleagues here at this table to stretch every dollar. Every kid deserves a solid foundation of a great education. I know this has been a tough one, and thank you for everyone who's worked so hard with what we have been given here. So
thank you. Any other? Okay, I'm seeing none. All those in favor of the budget, please stand. Trustee Hall online has his hand up, said yes.
Yes, yep, that's correct. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All those in oppose? Abstain? See none. Budget motion approved. And it's now our responsibility. It belongs to all of us. In spite, we may not approve. And I just wanted to say to staff again, thank you. Thank you to the time that you invest in helping us. For those of us who show up to the meeting to know the cuts that we had to make and the tough decision that we had to make. We continue to work to ensure that our students are receiving the best that they can with what we have. And the ministry have given us a directive. We have followed the minister's direction. And tonight we got a budget that is balanced and approved. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any communication? See none. Trustee notice of motion for consideration, there is none. Trustee notice of motion, I got 2 tonight. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go to the first one, Trustee Davies.
Thank you, Chair Green. Do I read the motion that I'm gonna propose? Is that what I do?
Well, you read it.
Okay,
yes.
Sounds good. So, whereas the trustees of this board wish to show leadership in reducing costs outside of the classroom, and whereas the possibility exists that a trustee could be elected that falls just within this proximity, therefore be it resolved that no trustee shall accept overnight accommodation if the venue falls within 75 kilometers of the central board office.
Okay, you have a seconder? Okay, all right, okay, no, sorry, it's the next meeting, you need a seconder.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, it's a notice. Yeah, okay, all right, thank you. Second one, Trustee Promoli.
Thank you, Chair. Whereas protocols are established to respond to extreme cold days with school closures for the safety of staff and students, and whereas extreme heat is recognized as a risk to health and a particular risk to health for young children, seniors, and anyone who may have an underlying health concern, and whereas the Ontario Ministry of Labour recognizes 27 degrees Celsius as a maximum acceptable indoor temperature for construction workers, and whereas many PDSB classrooms are without air conditioning or measures to significantly bring down the temperature to a level that may be considered manageable, and whereas PDSB's ability to adjust to the challenges of extreme heat within schools may be limited by existing infrastructure and available resources, and whereas changes in climate patterns have resulted in an increase in high heat days during the school year in the years since many schools were built, therefore be it resolved that the Peel District School Board work with Peel Public Health to establish an upper temperature threshold for extreme heat days and a plan for these days for the safety and well-being of our staff and students. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Promoli. Much appreciated to you and Trustee Davies. The only thing that I would say to Trustee Hobbs, you got a question?
Through you, Chair, eventually, but I don't want to jump the process. I know we need a seconder here.
No, we would need a seconder at the August meeting.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I'll reserve it for the August meeting.
Yeah. Okay. So the only thing that I want to say to trustees, when we're putting notices of motion, trustees must have the full detail of what you're asking trustees to do. Trustee has to make critical decision. Trustee needs to leave this table, have all the information that they need to make critical decision, such as whether it contravene our policies or procedures that is presently in place and how we're going to work with staff. All of that piece come with the breakdown outline, because we cannot ask trustee to make decision just blindly. So I'm just putting out there to make sure that as we move forward and we put motions on the table, we are giving trustee the decision, the material that they need to make critical decision. All right? Just putting it out there so we know that as we move forward. Thank you to Trustee Davies and Trustee Promoli for that. We will deal with that at our August meeting. We have no closed session adoption. We have no good news story. Mr. Davey, you asked to adjourn, sir. Mr. Cameron is seconding that. All those in favor of adjournment. Well, gentlemen, ladies, enjoy your summer. I'll see you back here later in August. I can't say that about myself and the director. We have several meetings lined up with the big people downtown. Okay, take care.